What's going on? Wild Scrubs Runner coming at you with an updated video actually. And this is gonna be one of my favorite wide feet running shoe, and this is the Structure 22. I've been running with these for quite some time now, and this is the one that I showed on May 12th when I had 90 miles with these shoes, particularly the shoes. And then updated till now, I have about 165 miles. So I just want to see what is the update on the difference between those two mileage and how they performed. But also, I also want to say that I also got I've been using the Superfeet with these as well, the Superfeet insoles, which I'm not sure I quite gathered the weight last time, so I'm here to break that down for you. And then also moving forward, what kind of shoe to look at or what I look for in a wide feet running shoe. So going to an update on the weight with these Superfeet Carbons. Currently, it is 9.7 ounces, okay, just regular size, or 10.3 ounces with the Superfeet Carbon. And then in grams, it's 274 without the insoles and 291 grams with Superfeet Carbons. Now, I highly suggested to wear these just to have extra stability into your running. To me, it has worked out quite well because of how flat and how much I pronate and how wide my feet is. Like I said before, the wider your feet will be, the more pronation that you will do, and the more that you need more room for your toe to splay out or for your toes to spread out like this when you hit your strides. And also just the need for strengthening or taking advantage of all your foot strength whenever you splay. So that's why I use these. I also have the link down below on where I get these Superfeet Carbons. So going back to the amount of mileage I've done 90 miles since I take that back. On May 12th, I've done 90 miles, and then as of today, May 18th, I've done 165 miles. And how did they perform between those mileages? They felt great. I have not noticed the cushioning on these. I haven't noticed them decrease at all. I've noticed that the more that I ran with these, the more that they are slightly conforming to my feet more. And also, it has served me well with hard runs, meaning uphills than downhills. And as far as the uppers, they remain the same, very stable throughout with the heel counter, no changes in that. And I've been mainly running in on road conditions. I haven't taken these out to any type of paved roads. Paved trails or anything like that. So this is mainly a road shoe for me. And then the uppers are great. There's no changes. The midsoles are great. The support is still there. It hasn't died down just yet. I suspect these to hopefully go for 350 to 400 miles, and I can do another video once I reach around that time. But as far as the feel when I run. It's been great. I have I talked about before the importance of ground feel for wide feet runners. And I say that because if you have shoes that is too cushioned, you will actually start to injure yourself because when you run in too soft of shoes, then it's gonna make you collapse more of your arch of your feet, and then it's gonna strain your posterior tibialis tendon, and then it will stress out your soleus and your gastrocs, or your basically your calves, specifically your inner calves. So therefore, it's very important for you to, especially if you're just starting to run, or you've been running and then you've been getting injured, run injured, run injured. It's not that you need so much cushioning, it's that you need certain amount of cushion that is not too cushioned but cushioned enough that is responsive as well. And like I said before, I found that the Turbo 2s, the Pegasus Turbo 2s and the Structure 22s from Nike have worked the best for me to not get me injured during my long runs and training. And I've been training with those two shoes, with these two shoes, the Peg Turbo 2s and the Structure 22, for a 4.2 mile time trial, and then also for a 10K for about 2-3 years. So I've gotten very familiar with these two shoes, and especially the Structure 22. Going back to the review of the update, there are wear and tear in the bottom of these shoes, especially you can see the more of the forefoot, but this is mainly from downhill running that I've been doing. Therefore, I would hit it very very hard on my toes. I've noticed that whenever I am trying to control myself more going downhill. And I believe there are certain times as well that I would hit a curb or sidewalk or a sharp rock that possibly was responsible to making this little divot right here. But overall, as you can see, after 165 miles, the traction is still there. There's no wear and tear at all, or hardly any. And this is important because for wide feet runners, you really need good ground feel and also traction in order to maximize your stride, and that uses most of your strength in your foot. Therefore, you don't want basically you don't want your feet to be sliding left laterally, because that can turn into injuries. But with these type of shoe that is already stabilizing your feet from going lateral, it does help with that. However, it can compromise it if the traction is not there. But the Structure 22, particularly this one, has a very good traction. Caveat on that, I have not ran with this in wet conditions, but I can imagine this doing very well with the ground feel in wet conditions as well. Therefore, I'm gonna continue running in this. And for wide feet runners, it is important to stay with one particular shoe that works for you and buy multiple pairs of that. That means that your foot or your feet is finally getting a shoe that works for your particular feet, which is important because not many of the shoes out there are made for wide feet runners, and or they are making just the general population of narrow shoes, mainly Nike, just because most of the market share are for narrow footed runners. So it's the the wealth of or the luxury to choose whatever shoes we want is very limited because of not many companies are gonna make wide shoes because there are more narrow shoe runners than there are wide feet runners. That is not statistically uh, proof. That's just my anecdotal because I've been trying to look for shoes all my life in different running stores, online, on different sellers, and I found that it's very difficult to find wide sizes or wide forefoots like what we need for good running experience for wide feet runners. So that is my review with these, and I also went over a little bit of background on staying with shoes that works for your feet, and that's why I will have one shoe that I will rotate in each training that I do. Therefore, if you see these updated videos, part 1, part 2, even part 3 or 4, expect that because I'm gonna try to run all of these my shoes that I find for my feet. I'm gonna try to run as much as I can, and that is just for preventative purposes. I don't want to get injured, and I would want to wear shoes that is gonna strengthen my feet whenever I transition a to a running, racing, neutral shoe. So the more I can get mileage on my wide feet running shoes, the more that I can be strong to transition to my neutral racing shoes like your Nike Next Percents or your Nike Alphaflys that I've done a couple of races and intervals with them. So that's my update for that. And just to remind you guys, there are the statistics down below of what we talked about. And like I said, this is shoes that several Olympians have used during their injured times, like Galenrupp, Sage Watson, and also I've seen the importance of wearing insoles whenever you are trying to find that right stride to get the maximal comfort running experience for wide feet runners. And insoles I've also seen in basketball players, particularly LeBron James. I believe he has custom made insoles. So if an elite athlete can and can or goes directly to insoles because the way that he plays is very lengthy and very aggressive, then I'm all for these insoles. And it just proves to you that insoles do help since elite athletes also use insoles as well. Do I do I use insoles whenever I race? I actually do because I don't want so much of pronation or the drop of my arches so much so that it's gonna compromise the strength in my calves. So therefore I use it when I race and also when I train, and I use it even for walking. So that is all the video for me. If you have any questions, concerns, or anything that I could use my anecdotal experience and let you know. Let me know down below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you guys on another video. So thank you so much. Until next time, Wild Scrubs Runner, gonna come back at you later.